to shattered dreams. End of times ain't what it seems.
Hello, friends. This is Sam Chaney reporting for Weaponized News. Today, October 13th, 2025. Thank you for joining us on this Monday edition of Weaponized News. We have a lot to cover. We have a very special guest on the line, Matt Landman, creator of Frankenskies, working on Frankenskies 2, doing a lot of activism out there about the geoengineering, the electromagnetic radiation pollution, and so on. We're very blessed to have him on the broadcast today. So let me get right to it. Happy government shutdown day 13, as it's scheduled to drag on for a while here now. Nobody I know in real life even seems to notice or care. I don't know. You tell me. We're going to get into has the spraying calmed down since the government shutdown here. That and much more with Matt Landman. Wow, what do we got today? The big news of the day, of course, is the peace in the Middle East. They say, I don't know. I don't think it'll hold, honestly. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong and they stop killing people, man. But I just don't trust. I just don't trust it. I don't trust any of these corrupt leaders of government, from the aardvark land, Bibi, any of these Arab leaders, Trump. I don't trust any of them. They're all sideways, crooked. They look like occultists to me. And so none of them are genuine in anything but their corruption, as far as I'm concerned. But the hostages were released on both sides. You got the Palestinians going back into Gaza. So all of that is developing. You got Trump addressing the Aardvark Knesset over there like he's their president. And so we might as well, as I mentioned, I think Friday, Thursday, I lost track. Anyway, let's just swap them out and be honest. Trump can go over there, be president of Aardvark land, and Bibi can come over here and be president of America. You know what I mean? It's just, anyway, it is good now. They allegedly, there's still little skirmishes though being reported. You know what I mean? So we'll see how this all sorts out. There's not a full-on genocide going on yet. So we'll see. I'm praying for peace, but honestly, I'm very skeptical about the whole thing here now, as we've gone over in painstaking detail what was it all about? You know what I mean? Greater Aardvark Land Project, and so on and so on. And then what else do we got? We got martial law here in America, essentially. We got National Guard rolling out. Matt is in Oregon, so we're going to get his take from, is Oregon really a burning hellfire? That's what the White House says, that it's hell on earth there in Oregon. Is it really that bad? I have my suspicions that it's not. So we have that. What is all going on with the police state there? They're using, we have this one report, fake cell phone tower may have been used to surveil protesters at Portland ICE facility. And we know they use the Stingray. They got all these types of surveillance devices. And in 2025, the surveillance is just off the freaking chart here. So we got that to cover with Matt. And then, of course, plug all of his great activism, his company, trying to help people battle. Everything's weaponized against us. The entire environment's polluted beyond our imagination. And so we're going to go over how he's trying to offset some of that with his company, try to help people offset some of the toxic environment that we find ourselves living in here today. And what do we got? Let's get to this day in history quickly. On this day in history, if we go back all the way, I guess it was a day for treaties or truces, whatever you want to call it. If we go back to the year 1501, on this day, we saw the Treaty of Trent signed by Maximilian I of Austria and King of France, with and the King of France, Louis VIII, signed the Treaty of Trent there, 1501. Then we go fast forward in history, 1792. The Old Farmer's Almanac is first published and edited by Robert Thomas, 1792, on this day. Couldn't happen here in America, right? So everybody likes to be naive fools here in America, love the government as much as you want, but we've been under tyranny the entire time since your freedom of your Constitution, allegedly, and we allegedly, won the Revolutionary War. But on this day in 1902, U.S. President Theodore Roosevelt threatens to start using Army troops to work coal mines struck since 12 May. The coal mines have been on strike since May 12th. This brings the owners to agree to abide by a commission of arbitration, therefore your labor's rights, in 1902. Nothing like a threat of martial law with the actual troops working in the coal mines. Neither side would have liked that. So it seems as threats worked out. In 1924, on this day, Mecca falls without a struggle to Saudi forces. So, and then you can go worship your square over there and do your Saturn worship and say that it's your God, I guess. It's all occult activity to me. In 1978, on this day, the United States launches third generation weather satellite, Trios N. And that was just because we're going to be talking about this geoengineering weather modification. And so I did find that interesting on this day, 1978. In 2023, Aardvark Land orders 1.1 million people to evacuate from north to southern Gaza in anticipation of a ground invasion. And we saw what has gone on since then. And this day in our civil liberties history, going back to 1929, on October 13th, martial law, suppression of the press in oil boom Texas City. Martial law and suppression of the press occurred in Borger, Texas, an oil boom city engulfed in chaos and lawlessness. It was reported on this day Texas Rangers sent in to the city to restore order. For example, seized a reporter from the local Daily Herald because of adverse publicity in his stories on their activities. The governor, meanwhile, declared martial law in the city 1 week before today. The Texas Rangers, who eventually numbered 2/3 of the entire policing force of the city, closed down gambling houses and dance halls. Alleged undesirables reportedly fled the city under circumstances that were not reported in the New York Times story on the incident of that day. Well, we appreciate the failing New York Times for not reporting about that. And we also appreciate the Texas Rangers shutting down the reporting from the local press there. We do appreciate our tyranny here at Weaponized News. Here's our segue to bring on our guest, Matt Landman. Well, here's our video. U.S. President Trump instructs everyone to smile at the Sharm el-Sheikh summit here. The U.S., Qatar, Turkey, and Egypt officially signed the Gaza peace deal today. Here now. It's kind of quiet if you couldn't hear it. Trump said, we just made a big deal today. Everybody smile, and the press is treating us actually well today. Oh, man. Matt Landman, how you doing on this Monday?
Hey, brother. Yeah, I'm doing Doing all right. Thank you so much for having me on. Plugging along and keeping my head up in this weird world. But I appreciate you and your show.
Thanks for coming on, man. Okay, so the big story of the day, of course, is the Middle East peace deal here. The Gaza Ministry of Health said that the death toll since the war began, it wasn't a war, it was a genocide, 67,869 Palestinians dead. I believe it's even more than that, but that's the official death toll since October 7th, 2023 there in Gaza. Quite a price they paid for that October 7th alleged attack there.
Yeah, wow, I can't believe it's been 2 years. And as an activist and a truther, I'm very cynical. So it's easy for me to be like, PSYOP, false flag. I don't even have to look. But when that happened 2 years ago, I didn't think it was very real. I still don't think it is. I don't think, given the technology available and the PSYOPs that have already been orchestrated, like, I got an MBA, right? And I went through this really hardcore statistics class. And I would say, like, statistically, it's highly unlikely that the official narrative is truth. And what's more likely is that the entire thing was staged. And so then this genocide goes on for 2 years, and then finally they let the hostages go. And then people worldwide are supposed to think, oh, well, that's the reason why they were fighting, even though it was only one side. Just like
they're trying to save the hostages, man. Trump deserves the Nobel Prize, man. Peace in the Middle East.
What's more likely is that it was AI driven or actors and all the thing. Even if you just go back and look at this is like the insurgency or whatever they called it in the Capitol building. It's just like, it's similar because if you know about the abilities that Israel has and how tight their security is, it wouldn't have happened the way that it did. These people running across the desert and grabbing people and coming back, and it's just insanity. It's Hollywood, just like a lot of other things. But it seems like that there's like an attack on discernment, really. That overall, the more that we're fed, the more people just believe the Hollywood scripted, news, because it's on the TV. Just because it's there, they believe it. Because, there's a quote, and then I'll pass it back to you. There's a quote that this mentor kind of figure in my life, this older guy that I used to hang out with, he used to always say, the choice is yours. You can take authority as truth, or you can take truth as authority. But the choice is up to you. It's up to you in your inner knowing. And at the end of the day, you can't just believe everything that's on the TV,
We know that they stood down. We know that they knew like a year in advance that this was all planned, this attack. There's been videos come out that of the alleged attack that are completely AI, that are literally fake. There's body cam footage from the attack that's altered, edited. So like you say, it was, and then they carried out the Hannibal doctrine, which is kill your own people so they're not taken hostage, because we've already been through this whole thing. They've been at it a while. They're fighting, and they made the decision. I forget the exact time, date, and everything like this, but the Hannibal doctrine says rather than have our side, our people taken hostage, we'll just kill you right now, because we're not going to give the other side any negotiating chips whatsoever. Because the last time they did the hostage thing where both sides took hostages and we did this whole thing, they said it was too high of a price to pay because our life is more valuable than theirs. And so we're not doing that. It's a raw deal for us. We'll just kill our own people rather than go through all this. And so there's many points. And even when it happened, many of IDF were saying that this is impossible. It couldn't have happened. They had to at least stand down at the very least, if not be part of it. And we know that they were Western intelligence was part of creating Hamas to begin with. You know what I mean? So like all these terror groups, we create the boogeyman Western intelligence does, and then it's a never-ending war on terror. It's 24 years after 9/11, we're still in the war on terror here now, Matt.
Just like ISIS, just like Al Qaeda, but it takes a lot of research. You know, you have to go back and look at how the USSR was fragmented purposefully, and how Osama bin Laden was hired and armed and trained, and the Taliban was hired and armed and trained by the U.S. government for a reason, you know, to dismantle the USSR. But yeah, the whole thing is scripted nonsense. And like I said, it's all up to our inner knowing and our discernment to be able to see through with this. You know, you can stack facts up all you want, but at the end of the day, you have to be able to trust your cultivated discernment, your gut, you know, your street smarts. And it doesn't have to be like that crazy. If you're walking down the street, like I hear you're from Fresno, right? So say you're walking down the street and someone's on the other side of the street waving a firearm in the air. Are you going to take your family and go cross over there and like ask them for directions? Or are you going to avoid that side of the street? You know, it's just common sense, discernment, street smarts, really, at the end of the day. You know, you got to be able to trust your heart, trust your gut, trust your inner knowing. And some things like 9/11 and all these things that are so obvious, like Building 7 and what have you, like we're in this age where there's so many fabrications, and what's next, you know? What is next? Who knows? But the more that we trust our inner knowing and honor truth and honor the truth with the integrity that it deserves, the more we can wade these waters of deceit and shine the light for our family, our friends, our neighbors, our peers, because a lot of these people are just in the dark and they can't see the writing on the wall. But just look at like the lockdowns, you know, there were people that stood up and said, actually, this doesn't make any sense. And that's why they weren't able to push total tyranny, technocracy on us at that point. Had there not been people standing up, there'd already be passports and whatnot. I'm going to mind my words, but there'd be these things that would have already been put into place. So it's important for us to be able to see through it and to be activists and to be who we are, where we're at in this day and age.
Here's propaganda right out of the White House from Time Magazine. There you go. Trust in Trump. Oh, that's just laughable. Here's Time Magazine. This is going to be their November 10th cover. His triumph, the leader Israel needed. And of course, it's an op-ed by his envoy to Lebanon there, but who cares about that? How Gaza heals. And so this is what we get. I don't know if anybody believes this in America anymore, but this is the propaganda they're giving us.
People actually eat it up, and they're so I've noticed.
I don't know, Matt, are we distorted by the interwebs? I don't know, because I feel like sometimes maybe we're in our own echo chamber bubble, and the algorithms are feeding us, so maybe we're just seeing the weirdness of the internet and the you know, propaganda manipulation there, and maybe it's not really like that in real life. I don't know.
Well, I've noticed that people are so on their side. They're so bipartisan. They're so they
got the left-right paradigm down pretty good, right? Because they got Republicans hating Democrats, Democrats hating Republicans. And then the rest of us just going, hey, the whole damn thing's corrupt, man. What the hell?
Exactly. So to answer your question about the echo chamber, yeah, that's very real. And I mean, even though I have a lot of followers on my Facebook account, I know a lot of those are bots, and a lot of those are just keeping me busy and spinning my wheels and whatnot. And sometimes I'll post something that's completely epic and it'll have one like, you know, so there is still the censorship in the algorithm, and we're getting through. We have to get through so many things. But regarding like the propaganda and whether it's received and absorbed and believed, my mom just came and visited me. I live in Oregon, so I'm in a blue state, which wasn't always blue.
How are you alive? Antifa didn't murder you yet?
Right? It's crazy. Oh man, the propaganda out of the. Well, I'd like to talk about that too. Like we'll
get to that, but let's just cover the Middle East stuff, and then we'll get to that. Sorry.
Cool. So really quick, my mom's from Indiana, and she came and visited me, and she's got these ideals in her head that are Indiana like ideals, like Trump is XYZ and whatever. But she's actually from DC, so she's been a Democrat. But it's funny because when people are on one side of something, they just are there. Like my mom, she has visceral hate for Trump. She doesn't think that the trans agenda is real, that the people in the West Coast are exaggerating the situation. Like if people are in school and in the city that I live in, if a 7-year-old is like, I want to change, cut off something or whatever, the parents have to get in line or they're charged with like abuse, what have you. Like the kids have all these rights and it's crazy. And there is a crazy agenda happening over here, but in the red states, they're told it's not. And there is a crazy divide. There's an insane divide. So people that are watching Fox News, even though some of it looks insane, they believe it because that's their party. Those are their people, And just like people in the conspiracy world, sometimes they believe just about anything, sometimes because it's a conspiracy.
The whole QAnon phenomenon.
Great example. So we all have to have our own discernments. Just because you're Democrat, and that's fine, you're Democrat, be one. I don't care. You don't have to believe every single thing that comes out of that party. Same with if you're
Matt Chuck Schumer's base now because he's the reason the government shut down, they tell us.
Right. And just because Trump says something and you're a Republican doesn't mean you have to believe it. It's wild. It's wild, especially during like Operation Warp Speed and stuff like that. It's like he's saying things that you don't agree with, that you never did agree with, but because he's saying it now, you're hopping on board. So it's very fascinating. But yeah, the Middle East, I think that it's likely just a horse and pony show. And of course, there'll be more killing. It's horrible and sad, but it's not over. And they just want you to think it's psychological manipulation. They want you to think that all this bloodshed, all this time was over those poor hostages. And now that they're free, that all that happened is not in vain, right? And it's okay, but it's not okay. It's insanity, really. And the fact that it's ongoing and that we turn a blind eye in the world that I grew up in, okay, that I seemingly wouldn't fly. You know what I mean? There's a lot I think that wouldn't fly. For instance, there was the Department of Justice, and they would stop monopolies and things like that. But nowadays, it just seems like there's this takeover where as long as somebody's pockets are padded, then things just happen.
We have a video of Trump saying as much. Here's Trump and Bibi's peace through strength. They say they killed what 68,000 Palestinians. Peace through strength. They say. Oh my God, these two characters are just too freaking much. Washington Times headline here. They say Trump declares dawn of a new Middle East as all 20 living hostages released. Yeah, so they want us to believe all of that killed 67. How many? What was the official number? 67,869 Palestinians to free 20 hostages, and they expect us to believe that it was a righteous mission, peace through strength. Like, wow. It's pretty wild. Here's Trump today. Let's hear from him announcing it at this peace summit.
We've all agreed that supporting Gaza must be done to lift up the people themselves, but we don't want to fund anything having to do with the bloodshed, hatred, or terror, as has happened in the past. And for the same reason, we're also agreed that Gaza's reconstruction requires that it be demilitarized and that a new, honest civilian police force must be allowed to create a safe condition for the people in Gaza.
Wow.
And then look who UK's right there. Well, he had a bunch of world leaders at that summit. It was a big summit. Here he is signing it proudly. This is my great honor and great beautiful day and new beginning. And here he is, almost like look at this. It's just all I see is pure evil here, but a lot of people eat it up. A lot of people eat this stuff up, and it is all theater. And look at this, Netanyahu. Wow. It's and then look, Trump loves his idols, as we've covered here. Here's another gift of an idol to Trump. Netanyahu gifts Trump a golden dove of peace after gifting him the golden pager back in February. For those that can remember the whole pager incident. So Trump is collecting a bunch of idols here now, gifts from Bibi, and now he has a golden dove for peace.
What was the golden pagers? Because they supposedly made the pagers explode and
Yeah.
Hamas. Oh wow. Well, I don't think that was what they say, and I could talk about that really quick. It's
No,
kind of deep.
remember they it was a long time planning, years and years and years. They put explosive devices not only in pagers, but a bunch of their communication devices, walkie-talkies, cell phones, pagers, all this kind of stuff. And remember, they pushed the button and they sent the signal and blew up and crippled a bunch of people, a bunch of innocents. Maybe they did get some quote real terrorists or whatever, enemy combatants, whatever you want to call them. But they whacked a bunch of people, injured a bunch of people with the pager incident. What do you got to tell us about the exploding pagers and communication devices?
So that's a great recount of the mainstream narrative, which was that they intercepted these pagers before the conflict even occurred, which is like, how did that even make any sense? But so
supposedly they were shipped through like some third party in Poland,
Yeah.
I want to say, if
Okay.
I remember correctly.
Yeah, I thought it was Istanbul, but either way, the conflict hadn't even started when they supposedly loaded the pagers with explosives.
Yeah.
But here's the deal: there's these very questionable fires that have been ravaging the world, the United States especially. Noteworthy.
Did you see last week they arrested a guy for arson for the Pacific Palisades fire, allegedly? One guy, and they said it was because on New Year's Day he lit fireworks, and somehow the embers continued to burn, and somehow they burned roots underground, and somehow this is what started that fire.
Yeah, that's like I said, everything's a psyop. That one didn't resonate with me. It seems like a distraction. That guy's probably just going to get paid and get right out of jail or whatever. Nobody will even know, or whatever hits the mainstream. Like that is all just like to pacify people and not make everyone not question or think for themselves. But so what happened is in Maui, we've got some instances in Lahaina, Maui, even in Paradise, California, the Palisades thing. There's a lot of different instances of these suspicious fires. Even in my neighboring community in Talent in Phoenix, Oregon, we had 27 low-income homes go up in the middle of the day about in 25 years ago. And they just turned to dust, and people were wondering why. Was it, was there potential other culprits than what was said? Because in a lot of these instances, the water was shut off, the winds were geoengineered and really heavy, and then the electrical surges through the smart meters seemed to be like planned, right? Come to find out, these smart meters have lithium-ion batteries in them. All of them do. And what we know about lithium-ion batteries is they can have a thing called thermal runaway, where if they get over 140 degrees, they ramp up to like 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit in just a couple minutes or even seconds. And we've seen this in these electrical vehicles that catch on fire, these Teslas and whatnot, and then the firemen can't even put them out, and they got to figure out a way.
Did you see the report about Moss Landing lithium-ion battery factory over here on the central coast of California? That thing, it caught on fire there, and their lithium-ion, it burned for like a month or something. I don't know. It's like you can't put it out. They can't put it out.
Yeah, and that was emitting a lot of toxic fumes, and the community is suing. And they had flame-throwing drones up in the smoke, trying to get some of the chemicals from not going into the farmland and stuff, and trying to. So during that, I saw some wild footage of flame-throwing drones up in the smoke, blasting the chemicals and trying to get it from not spreading. But that was a huge environmental disaster, and we still don't know the impacts of it because there's like lettuce farms and all that sort of stuff around there in the Central Valley, and those toxic chemicals are going to rain down, and eventually we'll see the health impacts.
I went there, Matt, this summer, or not pretty close to there. I vacationed with my family, and that little town of Moss Landing, all the business, there's like a coffee shop, some little like trinket stores, this, that, a couple restaurants, all of it's shut down. Like you could tell, like the place has been poisoned due to that.
It's really sad. And the lack of accountability and what have you. So these lithium-ion batteries, which also, if you read the book Cobalt Red or do some research into it and how they're made, it's so not green. It's horrible how these things are made to get the cobalt and all the ingredients in them that are then toxic as well, and then they can catch on fire, and then you can't even put them out. And they've designed like these cranes to pick them up and put them in these dumpsters of water. It's unbelievable how toxic and volatile that these things are. So I've seen videos of like the electric batteries on electric bicycles, because there's lithium-ion batteries in bicycles and whatnot. So when you go to the post office, they say, "Is there lithium-ion batteries in this?" Because they can't ship because they may blow up the plane or whatever. So these batteries, they can get really hot really fast and cause these crazy fires. So we've learned about this, and when the hurricanes hit Florida last year, Hurricane Helene and what have you, we learned that when the batteries get wet, they can explode, and they can burn down a whole building. There's no stopping them. So the fires, once they get really, really hot. So these lithium-ion batteries are connected to these convective wirings of the whole house. And there's not surge protectors on these smart meters. So when the smart meter gets hot from an electrical surge that's designed, then the internal wiring of the home can heat up rapidly while the smart meter is surging, because the lithium-ion batteries are in the smart meters designed to surge. So they're kind of like incendiaries on the side of the house that can surge electricity into the home, causing internal electrical fires that can burn super, super hot. And it might be one of the reasons why we're seeing these homes turn to dust while the pine trees next door aren't even impacted. You know what I mean?
I saw another, and to add on to that, it could also be people with solar that have the battery storage as well, not only the smart meter. So you start stacking up lithium ion battery powered, appliances, all this different type of stuff, the battery packs, the smart meter, and you start stacking all this up on your house, and you got a hell of a lot of problems, I think. Do you have a smart meter on your house?
In the town that I moved to, Ashland, Oregon, they don't have smart meters. They don't have fluoride.
Well, how do you guys even have electricity?
The old meters are in the house, the analog ones, and then the meter maid dude just comes and looks once a month or whatever. They also have ones that will emit the signal once a month when the truck goes by. They can queue it up and it doesn't emit the radiation every 7 seconds like these toxic PG&E ones do. But it depends on your state. You can call and get them removed and get the old ones back in, and maybe have to pay a fee or whatever. But look into it. Like a $15 a month fee is way better than the radiation sickness symptoms that you and your family could have and whatnot. So learning about this is very important.
It's just bats. It's bats from China, Matt.
So that's funny. So come to find out, there's technology where you can heat up these lithium-ion batteries remotely, and they can explode and they can become weaponized. So when I learned about this, and then when I learned about how Lebanon was having these exploding pagers, it leaked out the next day that it wasn't just pagers. It was also computers, cell phones, and solar panel arrays, like you're saying, that are stacked with these lithium-ion batteries. So I think they can make these lithium batteries superheat and explode, and that's actually the tech, that they're not implanting bombs and things. So I think that's actually a distraction, diversion, and they don't want you to know their top secret stuff. But I've gathered that they can make lithium-ion batteries explode, so they can superheat them with like laser technology. But that's just a theory, but I think it's sound. So planting that seed.
Yeah, with direct energy weapons. Yeah, send out the frequencies. Here is the pager that was gifted to Trump by Netanyahu. Talk about sadistic psychopaths. Press with both hands to President Trump, our greatest friend, greatest ally, Bibi there. I mean,
wow.
Yeah. And
wow.
So
how sadistic.
Trump is collecting idols. He has them like all over his desk. I cover it like every weekday here, propaganda from the White House and what's going on. And yeah. And so it's a cult. They're dark occultists, and they're doing they're doing a lot of evil stuff, man.
And they like to throw it in our faces and like laugh about it.
It's
That's
part
how
of the
evil-
mockery,
that's how
part of the
evil they are.
demoralization.
Mhm.
Part of the occult ritual is to throw it in everybody's face. And half the people that are fans of Trump love it, cheer it on, and they get more energy from that through the deception of it all.
Mm.
Okay, yeah, back to the smart meters quickly. I live here in Fresno, California. I have PG&E as my energy provider, state monopoly, essentially. There is no competition. You have no choice. If you don't hook up to PG&E, they'll condemn your property. So you can't just say, I'm doing solar, I'm going off the grid. No, they will. The county will condemn your property and evict you. So there is no choice. You have to be hooked up to the grid, but you can take off your smart meter. I did it on my house many years ago. You just go to PG&E, fill out the form, and like you said, you pay. I think you pay, back when I did it, I want to say $10, maybe $15 extra for like 3 years. And they say that's to pay the cost of the meter reader to come. And then after that, you're good. And but they still, PG&E constantly lies. They tried to tell me a bunch of times, because I have solar too, and I battled with them. Because they said you can't have solar without a smart meter. I said, yeah, you can.
Mhm.
And so I fought back and forth with them for like a year and a half. And then finally they admitted that yes, indeed, you can have solar with an analog meter. But they don't want to do it because they're trying to phase out landlines altogether. You have to transmit your data through an old school phone landline, right? And they want to phase all that out and just have everything on cellular and satellite. But I told them no. I've been in this game a long time, right? So I'm hip to the game, and you guys are straight lying to me. Anyway, it's still possible. Go to PG&E website, opt out of it, take that smart meter off your house, off your business that you never gave consent to put on there in the first place.
Yeah, you have to really educate yourself to be able to wade the waters of deceit because they're trying to trick you from
They'll
every
just
angle,
lie
and
to you.
they gaslight you, lie to you, misinform you. Yeah, it's unreal.
I'm telling you, man, I had shouting matches with PG&E before, and just telling them, you guys are straight up lying. I already know, because I don't have a smart meter, that this is possible, and so stop lying to me. You know what I mean? And it's like crazy, drive you up a wall. Okay, on to, here's Trump at the Knesset with no American flags there. People pointed out he got a standing ovation. So it's rather odd. I call it treason, but what the hell? I guess I'm antiseptic over here. I don't know.
Thank you very much, everybody.
There he is, standing ovation at the essentially Aardvark Land Congress. Here he is admitting. So Trump, America, Trump administration, and Biden too, that goes to show you it don't make no damn difference, are complicit in the genocide. Here's Trump admitting we've given a lot of weapons. So let's watch this short clip. So he's admitting guilt here, complicit in the genocide.
What we have to do, we make the best weapons in the world, and we've got a lot of them, and we've given a lot to Israel, frankly, and
How sick is this? It's like, it's sick, man.
I can't believe it's being applauded. It's unreal.
That's their Congress. The large majority are Zionist psychopaths, but he ran into some resistance there. They wound up kicking out. Well, let's play this clip because this is the big reason behind it, the money, where he talks about here in this clip. He says, we recognize Jerusalem as the capital and moved the U.S. embassy there. Miriam and Sheldon Adelson visited the White House more than anyone. And so if you add up all of the, and you notice I'm saying aardvarks in replace here because I have to speak in code still because I know they're cracking down on the censorship. So don't be mean to the, to the Star of David people over there, because they're coming after that next to censor that, because I see on the interwebs people have taken it too far, and now it's just open hate against them. And so they're going to circle back around, and they're going to clamp down on it big time. But anyway, that's why I'm speaking in code. If you didn't know, calling them aardvarks and aardvark land because of the censorship during the medical intervention period. I learned that in some sensitive topics, especially this one and public health, you got to speak in code or you will be censored and banned. But here's another clip from Trump addressing his real Congress apparently today.
I kept my promise and officially recognized the capital of Israel and moved the American embassy to Jerusalem. Isn't that right, Miriam? Look at Miriam. She's back there. Stand up, Miriam. Stand up. Miriam and Sheldon would come into the office. They'd call me. He'd call me. I think they had more trips to the White House than anybody else. I could think. I'm looking at sitting there so in.
Dude, this guy's got over $200 million in campaign contributions. His largest there, Miriam Adelson, Sheldon Adelson's wife. He's now passed. And they constantly are talking about seizing the West Bank. They created Trump Heights over there. It just goes on and on and on and on. I don't know how this is not considered foreign influence and everybody's not up in arms about it, but that's where we're at here today in America. Any other country, people would be screaming, Trump's a Russian, Trump's a Chinaman, whatever other country, but somehow they get away with this. It's quite remarkable to me, actually, Matt. There was some pushback. Lawmakers at the Knesset were removed after protesting during Trump's speech at the Knesset, recognized Palestine, and then there was another couple that held up signs saying genocide. Let's watch this short clip. So some people still have a conscience of soul there, very few apparently, but some in the aardvark government over there still are saying this is wrong. So there you go. The greatest democracy in the Middle East, we're told, escorts out a member of their own Congress for holding up a sign that says recognize Palestine. There you go. There's no tyranny going on there. It's freedom. And one more. Here are other Knesset members who were removed from the hall for holding up signs that said genocide. So they're calling it out even in their own Knesset.
להוציא את חבר הכנסת עודה, להוציא אותו מהאולם, להוציא אותו מיד, החוצה, החוצה.
Please expel this Knesset member. Please expel this Knesset member. Please expel Knesset member Kasif out of the hall. Please expel him immediately.
And they all cheered on. Yeah, we're democracy. What do you make of all this, man?
I mean, at least some people are calling him out, but it's not us. It's not our country. I mean, the Trump phenomenon to me is it's a cult, really.
Cult of personality, man.
Yeah, he's been able to rattle people's cages enough, and really, it's like it's all MK Ultra en masse. You know, if you learn about how people get traumatized and then have that Stockholm syndrome and what have you. I mean, look, he grew back his ear like a salamander. He must be the new Jesus.
They say God saved his life so he could bring about this day of Middle East peace. That's the narrative they want us to buy.
I mean, what do you do? What can you do? I mean, I can't help but think that the more ridiculous it is.
The whole thing was fake, right? He's in the World Wrestling Hall of Fame, right? The guy's an actor. Had that what the Apprentice reality TV show for years and years and years, right? So he's an actor, and it's just literally all fake, and people just can't come to grips with the fact that no, he didn't turn his head at exactly the right time, and the bullet just great. I mean, it's just it's not real, right? And all the iconic photo, fight, it's just all staged, right? It's totally staged. This is not an organic event that just spontaneously happened.
Right. But if you think about it, yes, they put a lot more people into like a deep, dark trance, and they're even further brainwashed, and they're traumatized. You know, their leader, who they love so much, almost got murdered, you know, and then this kid who did it, what did he get? I don't even know what happened to the kid. Either way, did
he got killed. The patsy got killed.
Supposedly gets gunned down. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, that's very traumatizing. And I mean, even the Charlie Kirk thing, traumatizing if you believe the official narrative, right?
Mm-hmm.
But all of this nonsense, imagine it wakes up like another 1% of the population. That 1%, or whatever number it is, imagine it wakes up another 10,000 people, whatever, 1,000 people, whatever it may be. That number of people who are now firmly awake, because they were on the fence before, like the lockdowns, it didn't do it. Imagine that. They're still on the fence. They're like, I don't know. Should I be? I mean, this is suspicious. It's not adding up. But still, they weren't awake yet. But people are being pushed off the fence. They're getting that smelling salt. They're being forced to come onto our side, to join our cult, or whatever you want to call it. To join the truth, the light, to be able to see through things. And just one person waking up, I think, is more powerful than 100 brainwashed zombies. Just think about all the metaphors and what have you. Like, it takes one sliver of light to light that whole cathedral, and now it's not in the dark. You know what I mean? One candle does so much. So I firmly believe that it's in God's hands, or whatever your belief system, the universe or whatever, what have you, that it is absurd. And the absurdity is just like daunting and scary. And it's like, how could this be the world that I live in? But surely there's a reaction happening behind the scenes. There's this brewing. There's this pot boiling over in a lot of lives and worlds. And yeah, it's dismantling relationships. People are losing their friends and family members and what have you. But people are turning to the truth. They must be. It has to be happening.
Think how sad that is, though. Then a lot of people report that. I had a falling out with my family over politics, over Trump. It's like, come on, man, really? And a bunch of people, there's reports all over the place. Yeah, I divorced my wife, my husband. I don't talk to my parents. I don't talk to my kids. It's like, come on, people. These damn oligarch elitists don't give a damn about you. It's all a show. And for it to disrupt your life this bad, you need to have some discernment, self-reflection like this. I pray that people would have it. Here's what it was all about. They tell us the hostages, right? The 20 hostages, and good for them. I don't want to see any hostages tortured, killed, any of this stuff. But again, being cynical here and not trusting the government, the official narrative, it's hard to believe any of this. But this is propaganda right from the White House. Hostages welcome back home. Let's watch this short clip. No audio on this. So supposedly it was these 20 hostages, and that's why they had to kill almost 68,000 Palestinians was for these guys, which good for them for coming home. But again, I do believe it's all Western intelligence, both sides. And so we're just seeing theater here. And then, of course, there are real pawns. They don't give a damn about the soldiers, the hostages, any of it. They're pawns in the game. But good for them if they really were held captive. I believe they probably were somewhere. And so they got out. And then on the Palestinian side, 250 prisoners serving life sentences will be released as part of the deal today. Among them, 145 will be exiled or deported, and 96 will not be exiled, 8 of whom will be released to Gaza as they were originally from Gaza. 88 will be released to the West Bank and Jerusalem. like the 88 there, the numerology going on. So that's both sides. All hostages are back home until they decide to kidnap somebody else, which could happen at any time. You know what I mean? So that's why the whole thing was just so ridiculous to me. I was like, they could just take hostages whenever they want. So this doesn't even make sense. And then I think to wrap up, wait, do we have a little bit more on the Middle East? Because I know we want to get into, well, quickly, again, propaganda from the White House. Here's Trump and Bibi. We have built industries together. We have made discoveries together. We have confronted evil. And perhaps most beautifully of all, we have made peace together. And this week, against all odds, we have done the impossible and brought our hostages home. How's it against all odds? This guy had the most modern military weapons in the world. And the Palestinians are fighting with homemade rockets and sticks and freaking rocks. So, like, how's it? You just had to tell them stop killing people. You know, so I don't get their stupid narrative, but I guess they got people still buying it. The Emir of Qatar, looks like Qatar is going to run, at least be the public face of the redevelopment project there in Gaza. The Emir of Qatar says, we are pleased with the positive outcomes of the peace summit. We hope the peace summit will serve as a starting point for further future agreements that meet the aspirations of our brothers in Gaza. We hope the summit will contribute to achieving a comprehensive, just, and sustainable solution to the Palestinian crisis. So, yeah, I don't know. I wish I could believe that this guy was genuine. And it sounds good. He has good rhetoric. I don't disagree with it, but it's just, to me, all of these world leaders, once you get to that level, you have to be part of their cult, or you're not in. You got to be part of the club. And so I don't trust any of them, but they do have a good rhetoric on this day, Matt.
Indeed, they do. And how are you going to argue with it? You know, like if you say, oh, it's not real, and people are like, how could you? These people, they suffered, and, you know, it's just like all of it. It's just like all of it. Like when I talk about 9/11 truth, the people come out the woodwork and are like, what, are you not American?
Oh,
You know what I mean?
you're disrespecting the victims' families. I heard that a lot too.
Yeah, I get that a lot. I get that a lot too. And then I don't even argue with them, because what are you going to do? I mean, like, I'm actually respecting the families of the victims, but you're not going to be able to understand that. You know, if you're shaming me, I mean, and that's the power of the documentary. I like to just pass on things. Like the movie Loose Change, it did a lot for me in my awakening. And some people are still at that level. It's not a race. We're all hopefully going to wake up in time and, you know, defeat the New World Order, and maybe have a rising consciousness, and, you know, have like this spiritual war play out where we actually are victorious. But at first we need everyone on the same page, you know. And I don't care that maybe you don't know about 9/11 truth and you're at the like kindergarten level of awakening. Let's start there. Let's start reading the ingredients on the packages of our food and watching the movie Loose Change and learn about 9/11 truth. It's not too late. Like I went to university. I went back to school and went to grad school at University of California, Cal State Humboldt in Northern California in Arcata. And I studied film there. And I was like older, going to school with like younger kids. And I was trying to get through to them about 9/11. And they're like, Matt, I was like 1 year old. They're like, I don't have a reference, and I don't, it doesn't like impact me, but it does impact you. It does. Like the history.
Patriot Act, the Congress votes on Patriot Act to re-up it every year, and that's for
Exactly.
that mass surveillance program is put upon us due to alleged attacks on 9/11. So
exactly. So it's important to know, and it's like one of those things. Well, if they did that, then what else could they have done, and what else would they do? And it's like, it's kind of like having a friend that you lose trust in, and then you realize that, well, I can't trust them anymore. You know, it's just that simple.
don't trust the government. The government can't and won't keep you safe. Here's this pretty much wraps up the whole thing in my mind. Trump says it, and so if people have ears to hear what he actually says, and you take it in the correct context, he's telling you, he's literally laughing, smiling in your face. People don't take it that way. You need to start taking Trump at face value and realize who he is. He ain't your great savior out there. I know our audience knows that, but God, it's hard to break through these MAGA mind control people. Anyway, here's a short clip of Trump telling you it's all about the money. He said a lot of cash, all the money in the world, and that's a UAE official there with Trump. So he pretty much told you they have a lot of cash, unlimited cash. He says all the money in the world. Oh man. Okay, we're done with that. Good for them. Stop killing each other over there, and I hope it holds. I pray it holds. I have doubts. I have my serious doubts. Because I was seeing reports there's still skirmishes going on in Lebanon, in Syria, in Iraq, and so it's still there ain't peace in the Middle East. This is a show they want to put on for us. But okay, with that, Matt, let's take our live commercial break. I'm going to plug here, and then we'll plug your stuff and try to get people to check you out, go to your store. Okay, so over the weekend I worked hard. And I just got and I had a breakthrough on the Weaponized News store. And so we do have a bunch of more items over there at the Weaponized News store. We got t-shirts, coffee mugs, hats. I haven't made a commercial yet. I'll make a commercial, but we'll do it live right now. Go to Weaponized News for your holograph sticker, your white background sticker, and your clear background sticker there. Get your Weaponized News stickers at weaponizednews.com store. Got 3 over there, and again, go check out the store. I put a lot of new products in there, and more are coming as well. And so we appreciate all the subscribers, all the donations, and all the patrons. Go to weaponizednews.com and help us out over there to support independent reporting and analysis on the interwebs like no one else. Weaponizednews.com. Okay, Matt, go ahead and plug.
Well, thank you so much, and I hope that people can show you some support because you deserve it. I have this film that I came out with that we'll talk about, Frankenskies, which is available for free at frankenskies.com. And it's a must-see. Even if you just watch the first 10, 15 minutes, it goes through the historical chronological timeline of weather engineering and how we got to where we're at. And it's so great to be able to share it with people because anybody of any walk of life can sit down and watch this film. It's not narrated or cheesy or one-sided or anything. It's the facts and it's the history. It's historical footage. I've had coworkers that are complete non-believers. I sit them down and 10 minutes in, when it gets to the 1970s and they've seen the evolution of weather modification in, the military's footage. Once it gets to like the 1960s and they're flooding the Ho Chi Minh Trail in Vietnam, and once Lyndon B. Johnson says, own the weather, own the world, my friend turns to me and is like, whoa, they've actually been doing this for some time. It's like it's without any doubt once you watch it. There's no room for doubt. So please check it out, pass it on to your friends and family. It's up to us to be the voice of reason in this time of deceit. So please check it out. And I'm working on a sequel, Frankenskies 2, and that updates for that will be available at frankenskies2.com. I also have a one-stop shop for activism, actualactivists.com. And there you can learn about a lot of different truths, such as the inoculation program and why it might be hazardous and toxic, and 5G and EMF and all of the things and studies and whatnot with that, fluoride, GMO, geoengineering. I've even got a daily truth, like a daily email blog thing that gets sent to you and what have you. But even myself, even though it's my website, I can dig through this and learn something. There's always something to learn. So please check it out and share it and bookmark it and come back and look at it if you have the time and energy. And please show some support. Also, I have an EMF protection silver clothing line where I first started making blackout bags, blackout foam bags. And this to me was like divinely orchestrated because I came out with these blackout foam bags in 2018. And then I sold them all over the world. But come March 2020, I started learning that my blackout foam bags weren't working because 5G was being cranked up on people's phones. and the amount of radiation coming off of people's phones was exponentially more than it was prior to March 2020. And I learned firsthand I had to upgrade my phone bags, and I had to go from 1 layer of silver to 2 layers of silver, and then I had to keep coming out with better, newer editions of like version 2.0, 3.0, all the way up to like 12 versions of the phone bag. And now I have a copper, nickel, and 2 layers of silver. It's got 3 metals, 3 layers of silver and metal fabrics to block the signal, because the signal has gotten so strong. But what happened is it got ramped up, and then it stopped, and I replaced all the phone bags, and then it got ramped up during Omicron variant. And what I learned was a lot of instances of people coming down with ailments were actually showing low-level radiation sickness symptoms, and I was corroborating that story with my phone bag, firsthand witnessing it with the phone bags out there, being frontline, learning about the EMF exposure of 5G and what we dealt with during the lockdown. So that was a big deal. So Spero, S-P-E-R-O, it means Latin for hope, and so that's why I named the company Spero, S-P-E-R-O Gear. So check that out, please, and bookmark it, and maybe show some support during the holiday season. And I sell incandescent light bulbs. So that's a big thing recently, and it's a big market, and it's important to grasp that the light that we surround ourselves with also can be toxic, just like everything else, the food and everything. So it's important to learn about even our light bulb choices and continue seeking truth. And thank you for letting me plug all that. And then I've got my Facebook, Matt Landman. So please check me out over there, or on Instagram at Spero Gear. That's my handle over there, my company, because the other one got pulled.
Awesome, Matt. Thank you. Yeah, go to his Matt's Facebook right there, and you can find all the links right there at the top to everything that he was just talking about. His great gear, the films, Frankenskies, actual activism, or activists.com, wakingupwithmatt.com, and so on, all right there on his Facebook page right here. So, oh, I don't know what happened. Go back to your page. There you go. Right, all right here. And then down at the bottom of the screen there, you can see, easy to find there on the Facebook. Okay, thank you for that message. Now back to the show. Welcome back to the second half of Weaponized News on this Monday, October 13th, 2025. Thank you for joining us as we're celebrating the peace in the Middle East, the government shutdown day 13. And we're going to go over some more geoengineering. But first, Matt is in Portland. How has Antifa not killed you yet? Because they're pro geoengineering, they're pro poison, right? They're like the worst of the worst. The White House declared them domestic terrorists last week. So, I mean, how are you even still alive, or anybody for that matter, in Oregon with all these Antifa domestic terrorists running around?
Well, that's fascinating, because it's the mainstream media really gets people spun out in fear, thinking that where they don't live, where they're not aware of what's really going on, is like the worst place on earth. So I've noticed that the propaganda coming out of England right now, people are telling me they've got thought crime, and you can't even think about anything or post on social media, or they'll lock you up, right? You can't protest over there either. I just had a massive protest on in June for summer solstice to stop geoengineering and chemtrails over there. The police didn't do anything. We had thousands of people. I thought things and posted things over there, and nothing happens. Oh, wow, you have it queued up. Beautiful. Yes, this is an annual rally that I'll be having in London every summer solstice in what's called Marble Arch, which is a good rally point in London. But this was a huge hit. And just like that, it's not as bad as they make it sound in Oregon. Actually, the fires this year were the lightest I've ever seen. We didn't get much smoke at all. So it was a really chill fire season. The firefighters that I know that didn't get to work, they say it's because Trump changed the laws on BLM land and can log federal land and sell the timber. So the federal government doesn't want to light fires on their cash crop. So they're going to sell the land first and log it before they go lighting fires this year, because there was hardly any fires where I live, and usually they're all over the place. And we have
here too in California, actually, as well. There was not that, it wasn't that bad as compared to years past. Yeah, I think as far as the environment, but I don't trust them, but it does feel like the Trump administration, EPA, is rolling back a lot of this climate change stuff. He got out of the Paris Climate Change Agreement, and like this, and not focusing so much on CO2 emissions as being causing climate change and it's the end of the world and all this, as had been the narrative from the United Nations and the Biden administration, Obama administration, and so on. So at least on that front, it feels like maybe they're doing some good things, I want to say. Is the spraying going on because of the government shutdown? I see social media posts. People are saying the skies are clear because the government's not funding the geoengineering operations. What do you think about this narrative?
So every time there's a government shutdown, that narrative prevails. And that's great and all, but I have in my network people from all over the place, and the spraying is still going on. Maybe not where some people live, but it is happening. And does the government shutdown make it less? Possibly. Possibly some people are sent home that would be controlling those drones or loading the chemicals on the planes and what have you. But that budget is all black ops. So it's not really that cut and dry, in my opinion. But definitely during like the lockdowns, there were a lot of consecutive days of white fluffy clouds when those airports were closed. So, I do think that there is some seemingly sound logic behind that, but the chemtrails have not stopped. There's also other psyops that run rampant. Like when Trump came into office, he switched chemicals out to be like vitamins. I don't know if you heard this one, but that's a big thing, like that people say that Trump has changed it out. And don't worry, Matt, the White House, like there's all sorts of things, but
Even
no,
if that's true, Matt, even if that's true, then the government is giving you vitamins without your informed consent. It's still wrong and immoral, in my opinion. Here now.
Well, right. Other people say that they're loading constituents in to detox us from the chemtrails of the past. So they're doing us this favor and like giving us the antidote finally. But none of that is true. There is this aggressive and very steadfast attempts to normalize and dim our sun publicly and worldwide and all the time. And they just continue with the propaganda and the different techniques that they use to convince us that global warming is real and that anthropogenic man-made global warming is real and something needs to be done about it. Meanwhile, they will create heat waves and drought and extreme conditions with the geoengineering, making the problems that they claim to be man-made from carbon in the classic problem reaction solution paradigm, where they're eventually going to give us the solution publicly, which they're spoon feeding it to us. Like, oh, we have this idea, we could dim your sun, you're welcome. But they haven't just like completely launched it quite yet. They did launch it in the UK though, which was fascinating. They came out and said they're going to be spending a certain amount of money dimming the sun publicly. So it has jumped out of the realm of conspiracy theory, but still people don't see the writing on the wall, which is fascinating. The fact that like the word chemtrails like a decade ago was kind of like crazy talk, sure. But now they're literally saying that geoengineering is a thing. They're going to spray the skies from planes with constituents, including potentially aluminum. It's like they've now come full circle and they're normalizing that conspiracy theory. So people should be waking up now to it, you would think. Yeah.
Maybe. You know Jim Lee, right?
Yeah.
Climate viewer. What his take lately is that the large majority of the trails is pollution from commercial jet travel. What do you think of that?
I don't think that that's true at all. And it's interesting that he would like change his stance after decades. But there's drones and there's planes that are outfitted with chemicals that spray. But the passenger jets that have these high bypass turbofan jet engines on them, if you look into the engine
He says
technology,
that's not a thing. He says that's not a thing.
What's not a thing?
The high bypass turbojet engines.
That they don't, that those big engines on the planes aren't there, or what do you mean?
That they can or do emit toxic exhaust. Essentially.
Okay.
Go on with what you were saying, though.
Yeah, well, there's engines on the planes, and they don't produce heat, and they don't need all that jet fuel. The jet fuel is a massive conspiracy, and it takes some digging. I'm going to have to go into that in Frankenskies too, because it's a massive misconception. But we're told that there's a certain amount of jet fuel that goes on the plane that is stored in the wings and what have you, and it's impossible for that amount of jet fuel that they claim to be stored on the plane to even exist. It doesn't fit. Like, it literally visually does not fit the amount of jet fuel that they claim goes into the planes. The wings don't hold, like, they have mechanics in them and what have you. And at the end of the day, it seems like there's compressed air that's used to get the turbines continuously spinning in the air. Once they've gotten momentum, that jet fuel is used to take off and land. But the engines are very efficient. And once they're up in the air, they're not producing heat. Oftentimes, you can see the passenger jets going with nothing coming out. And if they were producing toxic chemicals, like Jim Lee says, then there would always be something coming out of these passenger jets, would there not?
He says it's contrails, environmental conditions. It's very complicated. You got to listen to him explain it. But anyway, I think we're still all debating it and trying to figure it out. Here's some legislation that has come into effect here. It's state of Tennessee. They prohibited aerosol injections here now as of July last year. Florida now has banned aerosol injections as of July this year. And Louisiana has prohibited intentional emissions into the atmosphere as of last month, or August, 2 months ago here now, this year. And then there is legislation in the works at the federal level, prohibits weather modification, geoengineering nationwide. That's HR 4403, Clear Skies Act. So that's somewhere in the Congress. That was introduced by Marjorie Taylor Greene in July. And so we're on a government break, so who knows when that'll go to a vote. But and then you got Arizona. There is legislation in the works there in that state. South Carolina legislation there. Utah, Kentucky, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island. So it feels like we're getting a lot of action toward awareness, and actually, at the state level, the authority and control allegedly of the jurisdiction of the air there. It's a fight between the feds and the state, I guess, who controls the jurisdiction in the air. But it looks like positive, like you said, 10, 11 years ago, people would just look like you have, your head spinning around and you're crazy even talking about this stuff. So it's reached critical mass. It seems to be taken seriously by, quote, state and federal lawmakers, Matt. So it does feel like very positive trending direction we're going in here now.
Yeah, it's beautiful that it's being discussed, and I think the consciousness is rising on the topic. Sadly, the laws don't really have any teeth, so the spraying does continue in these areas. But the fact that it's being discussed and being put on the minutes and discussed in the Senate and what have you, it's very positive. I think that it needs to get more federal, and it needs to be more discussed and scrutinized for it to get to the level where people understand what's really going on. You know what I mean? I think that it's above governments, and so as scrutiny continues, people can follow the money, figure out where it's really coming from, and track down these bases, because these planes, if you follow them, for instance, where I live, they're coming and going where there's not even a base on the map. And the planes that go into the local real airport, the international airport, they never have any trails. It's only the planes that are going to these secret bases have these trails. And if you keep an eye to the sky, You know, you can watch them doing certain things like mixing things together or doing loop-de-loops, and you know they'll spray and spray and spray until the chemtrails unravel into a milky haze, and then they'll zap it with a ground-based station and make it rippled as they mix the chemicals together with electromagnetic frequencies and charge them and create high pressure and steer storms and what have you. So I'm not expecting people to take my word for it or even trust my documentary. If you just keep your eye to the sky and keep on looking, you'll see things that don't make any sense, that don't add up at all. Oftentimes it's planes that are side by side or doing these checkerboards and mixing the chemicals together. And sometimes you'll see short trails next to long trails, or they'll even look like they're about to crash into each other. They do all these acrobatic things in the sky, mixing their chemicals together and then zapping them from ground-based stations. It doesn't make any sense that it's natural, organic, like that it's not nefarious if you just keep your eye on it and watch it.
The official story is that they have to do this to stop climate change, right? Do you think it's stopping climate change?
Well, climate change, what is climate? Let's define climate. Climate is defined as about 30 years of weather, right? And so when did we start to see the lines in the sky really show up? When did they start showing up in the family photos and what have you? People are in a consensus that they started showing up around 1995. So now 2025, we've gotten 30 years of the weather being engineered. And now it gives the illusion that the climate is changing, but it's because the daily weather is being impacted by the geoengineering campaigns. So the question of, is there climate change? The climate is being engineered and is anthropogenic, like carbon-based, you know, like they say, man-made climate change. Does that exist? No, that doesn't exist. It has yet to be proven. Even the founder of the Weather Channel has gone on record saying that it's complete nonsense. So there are events orchestrated, such as Hurricane Helene, that went into Asheville, North Carolina, and for the first time in history, a hurricane goes on into the mountains and floods out a rural mountain community, right? Whereas hurricanes usually flood out coastal communities and they don't strengthen and intensify over mountains. That's not what hurricanes do. So they're engineering floods, engineering droughts, engineering fires.
Matt, I think the new terminology I've seen them using is it's not global warming, global cooling, climate change. It's now just extreme weather events is what they're saying now. So basically, any weather, they turn around and say, well, that's caused to your anthropogenic climate change. It's man-made essentially. So it's your CO2 emissions, whether from breathing, your production, however, your carbon footprint, however they want to track it back and say, we, the people here, are the bad ones and causing this, to blame people, right, on the problem, and then curtail our activities to net zero, because they're still pushing. That's UN Agenda 2030, UN Agenda 2050, net zero carbon emissions by 2050 is what we have to reach, or we're all going to boil over in extreme weather here now, because we can't let the climate, the world temperature increase more than 1.5 degrees Celsius, or we're all going to cook like we're in a microwave, is the narrative coming out of the UN.
Which has never been actually proven. And then
how can they know?
Things like we've got these spokespeople like Al Gore and Greta that just lie. Like Al Gore's movie Inconvenient Truth.
I think Greta woke up though. She's pretty based on her Palestinian activism. She seems to have shifted away from climate change.
Cool, good for her.
maybe she's woken up and has figured out they were using her as a puppet in the whole thing. I don't know. I haven't seen her ever talk about it, but she's pretty based on peace now anyway.
Yeah, it's probably a PR campaign. She's part of the bloodline, and I bet she'll come full circle and say we need digital IDs or something like that. Who knows?
Maybe. Oh man. Well, let's play this to celebrate a quick clip here. Government shutdown continues on day 13. I don't even know how anybody's still alive. The government's been shut down. They save our life every second of every day. but somehow we're still here. And everybody I know in real life, they're like, the government shut down. I'm like, yeah, your tax return extension still due on the 15th. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
here, let's play the short news clip to document it. Day 13 on this Monday, October 13th, 2025.
It is day 13 of the government shutdown, and with the Senate on holiday recess, there is no sign of a deal to reopen the government. More than 4,000 federal workers receiving termination notices this week, and hundreds of thousands remain furloughed. Now, across the country, food banks are preparing for increased demand, while the Pentagon is covering service members' pay with unused research funds. Air traffic controllers could see a partial paycheck this week, but nothing if this shutdown continues.
We just see a huge influx, probably about 30.
Maybe that's where unused research funds from the Pentagon, maybe that's where some of that geoengineering money went. And by the way, the Pentagon's never passed a financial audit since it's been mandated since 2018. And so literally the Pentagon is a black hole, and we can't account for any of the funds. They're trillions upon trillions upon trillions of dollars. And so part of me wants to think that they took a chunk out of that for their Black Ops geoengineering programs, Matt.
Well, surely, but after 9/11, half of Congress's budget went Black Ops. They didn't even know where the money goes. So who knows where it all is siphoning off to. Also, a big player in the chemtrail world is NASA. NASA, with a budget of roughly $80 million US per day, they have a full-on chemtrail program called CARE, C-A-R-E, the Charged Aerosol Release Experiment. Speaking of acronyms, the United Kingdom program is titled the Stratospheric Aerosol Transport and Nucleation Program, and they just shorten it and call it SATAN, S-A-T-A-N.
No, they don't. No, they did.
Look it up. UK Geoengineering Program, SATAN, and there it is, S-A-T-A-N. It's unreal. Also, the Department of Energy. The Department of Energy has a massive chemtrail program called TAP, Tropospheric Aerosol Program, and that was launched hidden in plain sight. I've got a very wordy document that you can find on actualactivist.com or frankenskies.com that is right before 9/11, and they totally divulge all of it, that they're creating this huge budget and allocating millions of dollars into risk aversion and detection assessment and not getting caught, not getting exposed by the public and what have you. And the Department of Energy spends all this money on a geoengineering program, which if you wrap your head around it, it's because dirty energy, coal and oil and what have you, they have a massive budget, right? And what they want to do is trick the world into thinking that dirty energy is the problem and causing global warming, and that the solution is geoengineering, and they'll be the ones that provide the solution. They'll already have figured it out. Yeah, this is no joke. This is a real thing. Unbelievable. And it just speaks to the war of light and dark, of good and evil that is literally ongoing. You don't sit down in a boardroom and call something Satan for no reason. Okay, while they're blocking the sun, literally darkness preventing light. This is real, people.
You're dropping some bombs on here. Back up. You went real quick. You had something, a link on one of your sites. I missed it because I was looking at the Satan acronym there. You can't even make this stuff up. What you mentioned something that was important. Anyway,
the Charged Aerosol Release Experiment out of NASA. That's a program that they have, and NASA has a budget of $80 million per day.
Oh, I was going to ask you. But they tell us the new. What's the guy named Duffy? He's the transportation secretary. He's an actor. He's a former reality TV show guy and Fox News guy. He's an actor, right? So it's all an act. But he's now the interim. I haven't seen him appoint anybody else. Interim, also head of NASA. So transportation secretary and head of NASA, and they have this giant geoengineering program going on there. Do you believe we're going back to the moon, Matt? Because they say we're going back to the moon, even though they lost all the technology that allegedly put us on the moon the first time.
Right, laughable, by the way. And if you, not to like mix topics, but the truth is all encompassing. It doesn't seem like we ever went to the moon. If you look
At least not the
into it,
official story that they told us.
no, the official story is pretty bogus. It's like that moon lander, who was filming it take off from the moon, and how did it get from the moon back to Earth? It doesn't make any sense. They didn't have the propulsion, or there's not a rocket that goes from the moon to Earth. So how does this even make any sense? None of it really makes any sense. And if you look into it with an objective lens, you'll learn that a lot of what NASA says is fabrications. Maybe they just would rather CGI something than actually spend the money, but a lot of this talk of space, and if you look deep into it, it looks like a transhumanism like play, like NASA plus Elon Musk, and the lies therein will create this kind of like Neuralink total recall dystopia, where people are actually getting like implants in their brain and not really going to Mars, but they'll think they're going to Mars because of the implant, and it'll push this like dystopian, like, oh, everybody get transhumaned out so you can go to Mars together and be cool like Elon Musk and his kids. Elon Musk's children will be like transhuman poster children. It's like guaranteed, especially like the ones that he had with Grimes or the ones that he had with the Neuralink executives, mind you. And these children will be getting implants and becoming part robot. And just like he said on Joe Rogan, you'll become a god, quote unquote, which is like a complete abomination to think that if you plug yourself into technology that you'll become a god. There's not multiple gods, there's God, and we are not going to be able to become God with tech. Okay. So I see this like attempt to dismantle the evolution of humanity, which is a spiritual path that we're supposed to be on. This realization that we're a human body having a spiritual experience and that we have a soul. And they want to dismantle that and try to bypass karma by pushing this transhumanism thing and having people transfer consciousness and all this. It'll all work out when all of a sudden we can't have children. When the 5G inoculation, dystopian, all these little tentacles of this new world order, when it finally comes down the pipe and people's fertility collapses, they'll be able to push this like transfer consciousness, transhumanism, dystopia, but not until then. But I do believe
U.S. Still, as far as I know, U.S. official foreign policy, State Department Memorandum 200 says that depopulation, sterilization of the third world is our foreign policy here.
yeah, the what was it called? The Bilderberg Group, or the
It's in the, they call it, it's just search State Department Memorandum 200 or Kissinger report, and they lay it all out in there.
right. There's also an annual meeting, I believe it's the Bilderberg Group, and in their agenda this year was depopulation, just like right there.
I think I remember reporting on that. Yeah, and it was they're all public now. It used to be a conspiracy, doesn't exist. Now they have a website, and they're like, we're here to save you. It's like, but the whole, it's, to me, it's racketeering, right? The government, all of these elitist oligarchs, they're running racketeering operations where it's the problem, reaction, solution, the Hegelian dialectic, all the different ways you want to describe it, but they create the problem, right? And then the public begs for the solution, and they already have it pre-made. And so there would be no problem, but they caused it. So that is the racketeering, that the organized crime syndicate known as the federal government, and all governments are running on the populations. And if people would wake up to this and simply say no, it'd be a lot harder for them to pull off. Then we would have hard tyranny with men with guns. Don't think that we wouldn't in America right now. If enough people said, no, we're not paying our taxes, we're not complying, there would be men with guns on every street corner in America, as many as they could, muster up here now. Make no mistake about it. It's just we're under this illusion that somehow, some way, the good guys are going to save us. And that's just simply not true, Matt.
Well, the propaganda runs deep, and people want to believe in the programming, which is we go to the movie theaters and we temporarily suspend our disbelief. And in these programming theater events that we go to and pay to witness, there's a hero. There's always a hero. And there's always like a nefarious, like evil depopulation, like Bill Gates like character. And Bill Gates plays it perfectly. He's like this skinny, like got bullied, like nerd with glasses that's now come back to
Remember the pie in the
destroy
face?
everyone.
The pie in the face.
Oh yeah, I love that. I want to include that in my next movie, The Pie in the Face, actually. But yeah, here we are.
The meme says this is when Bill Gates decided to terminate the world, and he got that pie in the face during his antitrust hearings there in Seattle, I believe, for Microsoft.
But we're programmed to think that there's going to be a hero to come and save us.
Musk,
All we have to
Iron
do is
Man.
help.
Musk is the technocratic hero. That he's a weird, nerdy, autistic kind of guy, but he was really a good guy, and he wants to help us. That's what even your fake alternative media now. Alex Jones even is a big supporter of Elon Musk. At one time, he was saying this guy's evil, transhumanism, all this, that, and the other. But now he's a big supporter, and he's here to save us. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's laughable. I've seen through Elon Musk since the get-go, and it seems like he's all evil, but people identify with him. Why? Because he bought Twitter. I mean, that was just a data grab. It's not freedom of speech. He's just gathering information. And then he sold Twitter to an AI company, to an AI like entity that he owns as well. So now it's like not even under his control anymore. And it's still just a data harvesting, gathering information.
And social engineering program.
And social engineering, yeah.
And the funny thing about, he was a big liberal, quote, liberal hero because of electric cars, right? And so he's helping save the planet, save the environment, stop climate change. But as we went over in the first half of the show, the lithium-ion batteries are more toxic than any CO2 emissions that you could ever put out here now. And we're coming to learn and see firsthand during all of these disasters, fires, and it's just. But then to show you how warped people's minds are, he switched sides allegedly politically, and then supported Trump. So now all the quote liberals hate him because of politics, but not because he scammed you for the electric car, where if your battery goes out, it's like $15,000 to replace it. And it's just and we don't know how we're going to recycle these things. And so it's a environmental negative at the end of it all. But somehow, some way, it was politics, not the actual facts about the products and propaganda and lies that he's putting out there.
It's unbelievable.
But still, the social engineers know what they're doing, man, and they got it. The majority out there, I just don't get it, but they got them. They got them, man.
Well, people are programmed to take a side, and that's a thing. You don't have to be an enemy with your neighbor or be on their side, but everything's so polarized, and we do live in duality, right? Up, down, left, right, black, white, and all this sort of stuff. And there's this play on that where people are like cornered into thinking that they have to pick a left right paradigm or whatever, the lesser of two evils. I can't stand that phrase, honestly. I've heard that way too much recently. The lesser of two evils. Like, just listen to yourself, right? How is that all right? Like, you've got your family.
You wanted Kamala, Matt? You're going to vote for Kamala? It's like, no, they're all corrupt. None of them are, and it's embarrassing and a disgrace that these are the clowns they put up there that are quote leaders. You know what I mean? It's an insult to anybody that can think.
Exactly.
Okay, what else do we got here? We got you want to do a little bit more about, what do you think about the Portland protest at the ICE facilities there? What is going on there? I call it martial law because when they send in the National Guard, that's what it is. But they say National Guard, but then the courts, no matter, our system's corrupt, but they still work things through the courts and they put a stay on it. And so Trump's trying to nationalize or federalize the National Guard to defend the ICE facility in Portland. What do you make of this whole situation?
It all seems like a horse and pony show, It all seems like just a big distraction to get them to where they want to be, which is martial law. So they're claiming they need to do this, and they're creating these supposed everything that I see in the news, I think is fabricated. And I think this is likely just fabricated to get them to get to where they're at, which is troops everywhere, and people are just like, oh no, it's not. It is martial law. Like you said, it is. They're putting troops everywhere. They're not supposed to be. And they keep stacking them up saying that they need to. And it's not going to end well, certainly not.
Using criminal illegal aliens, which I'm not saying they're good, as the excuse. Well, we got all these criminal illegal aliens running around raping, murdering, doing all the evil in America. And so therefore we need to have Department of Homeland Security and ICE deploy, working along with National Guard, State National Guard federalized. They've now been deployed to Memphis, Tennessee, to Portland, Oregon, to Chicago, Illinois, and there's many other states and cities on the list where Trump has said he's going to declare martial law, essentially, here now.
I mean, what did they do in the UK, right? And a lot of things that happen over there will happen over here next and what have you. They claim that they need to roll out a digital ID because of the immigrants and whatnot.
They said the boats, right? The immigrants coming on the boats, and somehow you all need to have digital ID, which is the miracle passport of 5 years ago that was strongly rejected. So they just repackaged it because that is the agenda, and whatever name you want to call it, that's the agenda clearly here now. And so, but the official excuse by Stallmer, I remember even playing the clip, it was because of the immigrants, the illegal aliens coming into UK on boats. And so somehow, some way, you got to have a digital ID to protect your citizenship. It doesn't even make sense. But that's their narrative, and they're sticking to it, I guess.
Right. So then we'll have some sort of conflict on the streets. Like they're setting it up for a perfect psyop. So there'll be some sort of conflict with the troops, and then they'll be like, "Oh, we don't even know who this person was, and we need to put in a better infrastructure." But we happen to be funding all this AI technocracy and the cameras, and so now we just need to put it in Portland so that there's the biometrics, and we'll have it on everyone's phone. It's textbook, and it's so obvious that they'll spin it somehow, but first they need to radicalize everybody and get everyone in fear. That's how they do it.
Matt, right here
on the ground. Go ahead.
ICE and Border Patrol are staging epic takedowns of rioters outside ICE facility in Portland. And look, this is what quote MAGA influencers, clownfluencers on the interwebs, they want us to cheer this on. Let's watch this short clip of cops beating up protesters there in Portland.
Mm-hmm.
So they say, the feds, DHS, they say that, and maybe they're right, that the protesters are blocking the driveway, basically standing in the road, and so they got to clear them out. And they've been there's been incidences shooting them with pepper balls, throwing them to the ground like we saw there, dragging them off, pepper spraying them, hitting them with batons. Shooting tear gas at them, so on and so on. Riot control, as we know, the authorities do. So they're already having these incidences, as you were mentioning there, Matt.
Yeah, unbelievable. And then every time I see something like this, though, because I know how controlled and scripted Antifa was mostly hired goons. I mean,
especially the black bloc, right?
Yeah, they were lighting fires all over Oregon and getting let out of jail immediately and lighting more fires. And a lot of them were just like hired tweakers and stuff like that. So like Antifa as a movement, it's primarily just scripted actors. So when I see stuff like this, I'm thinking to myself, I mean, okay, so they've got the news crew there. They need something for the nationwide footage to say, oh, look how bad it is over here. We got to send in more troops and what have you. And, you know, even though these people are wearing masks, we need to know who they are. And the retinal scan will do that, or whatever it is that they're going to come up with next, this technocratic that's going to help them with this situation. But in the end, I'm skeptical as to whether this is even fully scripted, just fully scripted. I mean, there's always a chance. So that's really hard for me.
I hear you. And I do believe every group of any significance whatsoever is the leaders of it are run by the feds. They are feds, or they're directly working with the feds, and then they pick up the useful idiots along the way to go do violence again, and then create the whole situation where, hey, we need martial law. They're doing violence here in the street. We got to bring law and order, damn it. What do you want? Anarchy? And so what are you, a pro-crime commie? That's what they're saying here now. Wow. Okay. Here is, let's see. Oh, what do you make? Did you see the Portland die-in of this is bizarre. I don't know. Are they paying these people? I don't know. Of these some naked all the way, half naked bicyclists all went and laid in the road. Did you see this?
Well, that's an annual thing that they do, is have the naked bike ride, and that's all over the West Coast. So it's in different cities, Vancouver, Canada, Portland, San Francisco, etc. But did some of them lay down naked in the street?
Here's some footage. Here's some footage of it. What do you make of this? Does this type of activism, die-ins, laying in the street, actually work?
What were they laying there for?
They were protesting ICE.
Oh, well, I mean, people in Portland will do whatever they're told. Like that was for, yeah, they're doing it for the Mexicans. That's great. Is it because they're going to do
illegal
something?
aliens? They're blocking the road so ICE can't transport back and forth and go about their duties of immigration enforcement.
Okay. And do things like that work? I mean, temporarily. I mean, they were already there on a bike ride going across that bridge, and then they just decided to all lay down naked and prevent the roads from being used. People are really easily they're sheep. They're sheep. They're very easily corralled, you know. And what seems like that they're doing something for human rights and what have you. You know, more power to them. Maybe we can get them on our side one day.
To me, it's counterproductive blocking the
Definitely.
freeways, because you're just pissing off normal people that are trying to go and to and from work and drop their kids off and run around. And maybe you're blocking some feds, but overall you're pissing off more just normal people that are trying to go about their day, in my opinion, because we do see these freeway protests, especially here in California. They blocked up a lot of freeways, and it's like you're just pissing off normal people that are trying to go about their day, in my opinion, and not really affecting any change with these type of blocking traffic, especially protests.
Yeah, no, you're not making any friends either. And then, I mean, they're just gonna go around. They're gonna take another route. It's like you ever been in your GPS and there's like an accident? It says rerouting. It takes like 2 seconds. It's like, honestly, they could probably be putting their efforts to use a lot better.
Yeah, there's just more footage of them. A lot of bikes there. Okay, what else do we got? I want to play this last clip of the fake cell phone tower may have surveilled protesters at Portland City ICE facility. Let's watch this reporting on the surveillance.
President Donald Trump's immigration policies. I used an academic research tool called Marlin to scan the cellular signals being sent from cell towers to cell phones in the vicinity of the ICE facility in order to look for a device called a cell site simulator. This is also called an MC catcher or a stingray. So cell site simulators basically mimic legitimate cell phone towers, and when they're brought into an area, they broadcast a stronger signal than real towers in the area, which forces your phone to connect to it, and then they use that to obtain your IMSI, or your International Mobile Subscriber Identity, which is a unique 15-digit code tied to your SIM card that the network uses to identify you when you're using your cell phone. In multiple 24-hour-long test scans, Marlin's researchers found a median of less than 3% of the messages being sent from a legitimate cell phone tower asked phones for this unique identifier. And in their multiple tests, the researchers found that spikes above 10% were rare and never exceeded 14%. In contrast, in just 14 hours of scanning, I saw over half a dozen spikes surpass 10% and recorded 3 separate 18% spikes in just a 1-hour window. But when I started to walk away to a nearby hotel about 0.3 miles away, that percentage started to drop back down to what the normal baseline number is that you'd expect to see from a normal tower behaving normally. So when you see huge spikes of those type of IMSI exposing messages, that's indicative of a cell site simulator being used. So if one of these devices is running at a federal facility, for example, they can find out all the phones that were in that area at a certain time. In this instance, it's likely that there was a device attached to a building that was looking at the people in the area. The reason cell site simulators are so controversial is that even if you're looking for a specific device, you have to force all other devices in the area to connect to you. So even if you have a warrant to find a specific phone, you're essentially siphoning up other people's data in the process. And while warrants are required, cell site simulators can be deployed without warrants under certain emergency circumstances, such as issues related to national security. So that raises the question of whether that justification is being used to potentially surveil protesters. And given that there was an apartment building and other businesses directly across the street from the ICE facility, even people unrelated to the activity on the ground may have had their information swept up.
So yeah, they'll violate your rights in the name of national security, as we know here now. And you could not even be part of any of it, just trying to go about your day. And they're grabbing all your data and putting you in the database, as well as a Antifa domestic terrorist, potentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know about that stingray tech, and it's shocking. I've even seen towers that catch on fire, and then the reporter is questioning the telecom provider, and they're like saying things like, well, that really wasn't actually a cell tower like you would think. So we don't, I mean, just because it looks like a cell tower doesn't actually mean that it is. And I mean, those alone can be hacked and are predatory as well. So it's like, yeah, the tech is not in our favor at the end of the day.
With that, Matt, let's wrap up the show. Then let's plug your stuff one more time. How do people? Probably the best way is your Facebook.
I am really good at getting back to people via Facebook or email. I have frankenskies@gmail.com. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And then the Facebook at Matt Landman. And then the websites actualactivists.com and frankenskies.com are my primary activism related sites to reach out to me on. And regarding the chemtrails, I just think it's really important that people keep an open mind and keep an eye to the sky. And eventually you're going to actually wake up just by looking up. You'll see patterns that don't make sense, or on the edge of storms, you'll see planes showing up and zigzagging all across the sky that aren't normal air traffic. The irregular pattern of appearance is also very remarkable. You'll be outside on a Sunday afternoon, you'll see 1 or 2 planes go by. Then the next Sunday afternoon, you're outside and it happens to be going to be raining the next day or something like that. And then you see all this action in the sky where they're zigzagging and mixing chemicals and doing loop-de-loops. I've had friends send me pictures of figure eights and all sorts of nonsense. I've had people zooming in on unmarked planes with no windows. I've had people zooming in and sending me footage of wingtip sprayers coming out of the wingtips and not out of the engines at all or anywhere near the engines. Things like this are opportunities for people to wake up. There's all sorts of opportunities like that waiting for you. And the more you ask God or the universe or spirit or whatever to show you, the more that you will be shown. So keep an open mind, keep an open heart and eyes. And if you're not awake yet, you will be soon. So thank you. And thank you for watching Frankenskies. And thank you for having me on and for being this voice in truth that you are, Sam.
Trying to spread the word here, Matt. We're going to look forward to Frankenskies 2. We're going to have you back on to help promote that for sure. Here's your Facebook page one more time. Right there, all the links right there to everything. Matt Landman doing his best to try to get people out of their mind control coma here that we're under. But it does feel like we're making some progress. It's tough sledding. We're up against unlimited funding and unlimited evil essentially here now. So it is tough sledding. But as we go along here in the one world government agenda, more and more people are starting to notice, hey, things are just, it's just too dystopic to explain away with the phony narratives and psyops that they roll out to us every day here now. We appreciate your efforts, Matt, and we look forward to speaking with you again when your new film comes out. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I look forward to it. And again, thank you for the work that you do. And I hope that your viewers know all the efforts that you put in and can support you accordingly.
All right. And with that, everybody, as always, everybody do your own research, peace, love, and freedom. Speak out and take action. Have a great rest of your Monday evening. And tomorrow we're going to have Denver Attaway on the show. I was just in email communication with him before, and we'll do some deep dives with Denver, prolific interweb researcher. And so we shall have a very good show tomorrow. And have a great rest of your Monday evening, and we'll see you back here tomorrow for more Weaponized News.